going on, everybody? This Afro Think Tank. White lady says that white people in America suffer from a lack of identity and a lack of culture. And I agree with them. They do, right? Because you know how we always say as African Americans how they took our culture from us. They took our language. They took all these things from us when we were brought over here. Well, they tried to take it because they didn't take everything. They just made us forget our language. They made us forget a few things. They made us forget about a lot of the origin of the things that we do. But we still do those same very African things. But Europeans, they also suffered the same fate because they had to give up their Polishness, their Irishness, their German, their Lithuanian. They had to give up their true identity to become white because that was the only way they were going to be accepted in America is to be white. And what is it to be white? Still, no one knows, right? And in America, there is no white culture in America. White people in America, they siphon off everybody else's culture. They practice, participate, and enjoy black people culture. They go and eat black people food. They go eat Mexican food. They go eat Asian food. Everything about white people is going to participate and play in other people's culture and religion. Hell, even the new trend, well, it's not new, but I say in the last 20, 30 years, the new trend of yoga and all that stuff and the yogis, all these white folks, even when it comes to their spirituality, they go and find it with some other group of people's spirituality and culture. They don't go find their spirituality in Europe. They don't go find their old pre-Christian gods. They don't do any of that stuff. They go to India to find Hindu, right? Or Buddhism. Or they go to Africa and they do Ifa, right? They do everything but anything traditionally European. It's almost like they don't want to have anything to do with Europe, but they are European. They literally fought a war and they celebrate every year the war that separated them permanently from Europe when they beat England in the war, right? They literally celebrate. The 4th of July is white people in America separating themselves, a war of separation. Of course, it's because payola, so everything's about payola, but they separated themselves from their own homeland. Imagine if African Americans had a holiday where we celebrated defeating our own African brothers and sisters in order to separate from them. Imagine that. That shit wouldn't even make any goddamn sense, right? But Europeans have purposely de-educated themselves about European history because they got to be a white American. They got to be better, right? So even when they talk about their history, and it is a Eurocentric history, in America is more American Eurocentric, right? Europe is like a side note, right, to American exceptionalism, right? Because Jesus Christ gave these white folks America. Remember that. Jesus Christ and George Washington got together and they wrote out the Bible and the Constitution at the same time, as far as these white Americans are concerned. And God gave them the right to kill all the Native Americans and enslave Africans in order to live plentiful on this land. That's what they believe. So now, generations done passed, you got all these white folks who are starting to come to the realization that everything they do, all of the culture that they think they have is other people's culture that they practice. But when they look at themselves, what do they have? What is white American culture? What is it? It's almost non-existent. And so that's causing an existential crisis with these Europeans, you know, as it stands right now. But anyway, I'm going to let this white girl explain it in her way, right? And you guys tell me what you think in the comment section. This is Afro Think Tank. Learn something, teach something. I'm out.
Something I've been thinking a lot about recently is how we as white people in America generally lack a sense of belonging towards a specific identity or culture. Meaning, because we essentially gave up our ancestry, gave up traditions and cultural things in Europe to be white Americans, we don't have a sense of identity, so we can tend to form groups that can sometimes be problematic because we want to feel a sense of belonging. And I'll kind of explain with examples what I mean. So if you think about like incels, for example, a lot of incels are like young white males or older, and I feel like generally they feel a sense of belonging and fitting in with other men that hate women. So it's like forming a sense of group identity, but around the hatred of another group. And I feel like this just like happens a lot with white supremacists too. Another example would be like a lot of white people find their identity through associating with a particular football team. Especially I like see this in the Midwest. It's like just a lot of people that are like very like, oh, I'm like a Packers fan, like I'm a Vikings fan, and you just like have this like undying like commitment to like a sports team, which I like truly don't understand, because like the sports team aren't even like from like the same state as like the state that they represent usually, but that's besides the point. The problem is with that is like if your whole identity is based around like football and like your whole like social identity is interacting with other people around football, I mean there's just like a lot that can negatively come from that. Namely, there's a lot of like, you know, drinking associated with, gambling associated with, and I'm not trying to necessarily say it's bad or shame anyone. You know, it's fine to like football. But what I'm trying to say is like a lot of times that these group identities that we form are just much different than having a group identity, say if you were connected well to your like Norwegian roots or Swedish roots. Like that to me is like what I've been like trying to get back into, because like I do like feel like a greater sense of purpose, like understanding my like cultural ancestral identity.
Free Sudan! Boycott diamonds and gold! Free Sudan! Boycott diamonds and gold! We most definitely cannot forget about the people of Sudan.
Wait. Before you go, for all my subscribers and philanthropists out there, I'm building a solar power community water bowl system in Nigeria. It's going to cost between $5,000 and $6,000. I'm trying to raise money. If you want to participate and help me build this solar power water system, please donate to the Cash App and put solar water in the notes. Solar water in the notes. I'll put PayPal, Stripe, and Zelle. Anyway, thank you. That's all I got to say. It's Afro Think Tank. Learn something, teach something. I'm out. Thanks for watching Afro Think Tank. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And follow me on Substack and Patreon for more content. Remember, it's Pan-Africanism or nothing.